The Great and Mighty Shenzhou Alliance. The coalition assembled to combat the one common enemy that has plagued their collective homeworlds, the abundance. A force that bestows gifts of blessings and curses simultaneously, granting immortality with madness, healing but violence, peace but through indoctrination. And with a force so deceptively powerful as an opponent, who could stand in its way? None other than the powerful, fearsome, and wise Arbiter generals of the Rainbow Arbiter. You see, I've been getting a lot of questions about the Shenzhou generals for a long time, asking how powerful are they? Who could they beat in a fight? Are they Emanators? And today, it is my goal to answer these three questions. Because this is the Generals of the Shenzhou Explained. Okay, so first things first, let me tell you who these generals are. All the generals we currently know about are Feixiao, Huaiyan, Yao Guang, Xuanquan, You Wu, Jing Yuan, Teng Xiao, and Yue Yu, with their leader, or marshal, who simply goes by the name Hua, who I will be addressing shortly. Because the first question I want to tackle is, are these powerful warriors of the Shenzhou Emanators? And the answer is complicated, because this is a Honkai game and the answers to most questions in these games are yes and no. But luckily, I've created a term that if you've been around the channel recently, you would know by now. Because I believe the generals of the Shenzhou are pseudo-emanators. Yes, that term applies here too. Let me explain to you why. You see, the Wiki has recently changed to refer to the Arbiter generals as emanators. But the definition of an emanator is someone who has received power directly from an Aeon. So it comes down to, did they? Well, this is the yes and no part, because they all have a being inside themselves called a spiritus that was bestowed upon them by Lan, the Aeon of the Hunt. But there's a caveat here, because each Shenzhou flagship has its own spiritus, and each general inherits the spiritus when the old general dies. So this isn't a power given directly to an individual like we've seen with Acheron. The power is given to the spiritus, then the spiritus is given to the general, making the transfer of Aeon power indirect, which is what I call a pseudo-emanator. Another example very conveniently comes from another Shenzhou native, Fushuan, who has the Omnitia, a third eye that was given to her by Nous of the Erudition. But once again, this does not make Fushuan an emanator of erudition, because the power of foresight was placed into the Omnitia and then into Fushuan. So just like if the general somehow has their spiritus extracted, or if Fushuan had her Omnitia extracted, that power disappears as well. We've also seen this through the IPC and their cornerstones, but I'm sure you get it by now. Power source aside, how strong are they? Well, the Wiki says they are in no way inferior to the Lord Ravagers, which is very suspicious and probably misleading. See guys, even I disagree with the Wiki sometimes, because even though I respect our general, I do not believe his master stroke can obliterate an entire galaxy. I'm looking at you, Zephyro. And we had way too much trouble fighting Phantilia for that to be the case. And Phantilia is the weakest Lord Ravager we even know about. However, this does beg the question, how strong is Hua? Because as the leader over all Arbiter generals, she alone is the strongest. The honored one, if you will. And you gotta love my transitions, because speaking of Gojo references, it just so happens that the name Hua is the exact same Hua as in Honkai Impact 3rd in both English and Chinese translations. And she just so happens to be my favorite character. So it's time for some background on what we currently know about Hua. In Honkai Impact 3rd, Hua was the subject of a genetic modification that allowed her immortality, along with a healing factor that can infinitely regenerate her body as long as she herself stays alive, meaning that she cannot die from old age or age at all. See the Shenzhou long life species parallels here? And using a technique called Feng Kuang Down, she can transfer her consciousness into feathers to act as essentially a respawn point in the event that she does die unexpectedly. She has fought the Honkai on behalf of humanity for over 50,000 years and at some point was referred to as a god or celestial by those she defended because she was just that strong. And in the current story, she is even stronger than that, and it's not even close. Doesn't that sound like the kind of ancient, ageless warrior vibe that would fit the Shinjo to a T? I sure think so. And if anyone is on par with the likes of Zephyro, it would be the Honkai Star Rail version of her, or the demigod body copy of her, but she's a bit too unhinged to be a leader of any kind. Persha of Sentience being a Mara-struck, battle-crazed Fuhua, don't even get me started. Let's go back to the generals before I go too far into this. So I've addressed what the generals are and how they got their power, and we already have an idea of how powerful one of them is because of the Fantilia incident, but what makes them so special? Well, it's because they all have their own niche skill that sets them apart from each other, with a Spiritus that complements them nicely. So far, we only have the details on 2, but I feel like this is more than enough to get a pattern here. Because the first general we met was the Divine Foresight, Jing Yuan. Known for his wit, cunning, daring, and flawless strategies, Jing Yuan's most powerful weapon is his mind. And his Spiritus's true name is the lightning-wielding, thunder-clapping, spirit-squashing, half-slinging slasher. Anyway, Jing Yuan is a strategic genius, being able to take on multiple tasks at once and devising a strategy with such flawless precision that it is considered foresight. Because, you see, Jing Yuan is a chess master that has all of his pieces spread all over the board, thwarting all attacks without being overrun or left open. An example of this is how he handled the Xianzhou war dance. Because in this story, he had to solve the Hulei Borison crisis, the Vidyadhara elders were basically setting up a coup, Yanqing and Yunli were beefing, the war dance was commencing, and he was under investigation by Feixiao and Huaiyan, and he managed to handle all of this while keeping the Astral Express crew in the loop. Not to mention that he barely left the seat of Divine Foresight throughout the entire ordeal. Because, again, he is the chess master. He is the king piece. He's the one behind it all and gets everything done from his side of the board. Which is why the Lightning Lord complements him so well. Because he is enclosed within the Lightning Lord as it acts, planning his every move, but it is the Lightning Lord that delivers the master stroke. That is why he's also called the Dozing General, because he comes off as inactive. But he isn't at all. Which brings us to our second and final example, who I like to refer to as the Queen Piece, the Merlin's Claw, Feixiao. And just like the Queen Piece, Feixiao is known for her speed and strength, being able to take down opponents quickly and decisively, earning her the self-proclaimed title, the Lacking General. Lacking in worries, regrets, rivals, and a tail. Which confused me a lot at first, but it turns out that she's half Borison and not all Borison have tails. So that's why she's tailless. The Borison are also a race blessed with enhanced healing and stamina by the Abundance, which means Feixiao was indirectly given power by 2 different Aeons, making her a double pseudo-emanator. Isn't it great to have a term to describe these characters that just break rules like this? And apart from breaking rules, Feixiao also breaks the sound barrier because she is so fast that she somehow managed to travel from wherever this is on the Luofu to the Sky Splitter in mere minutes to save Yanqing. Her Spiritus, Flying Aureus, is also very fittingly known as the fastest of the 7 and fights by her side, in stark contrast to Jing Yuan. But although Feixiao is a smart and cunning fox, that is not what sets her apart from the other generals. Her Borison and Foxian lineage grant her ludicrous levels of stamina and healing to match her relentless determination, making her an unexpectedly harmonious fusion of hunt and abundance. See how everything just kinda makes sense with these guys? That's why I like them so much. Unlike Penacony, where everything's backwards. Anyway, we only have 2 examples here, but since they follow what's basically the same pattern, I think it's safe to say that this is how the generals work. So that is the generals of the Xianzhou explained. Honestly, I can't wait to learn more about the Xianzhou and the other flagships and generals and how they interact, especially Marshal Hua, almost to the point that I kinda wish we stayed a bit longer. But oh well, we've got Flame Chasers to learn more about, right? What do you guys think? be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.